Welcome to The Brain Changers, a podcast about learning how to revolutionize the way you think and live by mastering your mind. We're your hosts, mother and daughter duo Rebecca and Yvonne King from Moonbeam Monday. Our goal is to empower you to live the life you choose by teaching you how to retrain your brain. Some people tell us it sounds like mind control, and it is, but not the way you might think. This is about you taking control of your own mind rather than letting your mind control you, so you can choose to live a life free from the expectations of others. No matter what you've experienced in the past, you can create positive change and transformation by learning how to master your mind. We know this because we've done it. Between us, we've survived cancer and stroke and eliminated debilitating anxiety and depression. We've turned our pain into purpose through the power of our mind, and we're now here to support and guide you to do the same. In this podcast, we share valuable insights about how your brain works, why you think, say, and do the things you do, how to begin the process of change, and why it's necessary. Because we know that when you change your mind, you change your life. Thanks for joining us. Let's go. Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Brain Changers podcast. I'm the Brain Changer, Rebecca King, and I'm excited to be here with a very special guest today. She's a dear friend of mine, Grier Nielsen from Bohemian Echo Creative. Hi, Grier.
Hi, Beck. Nice to be here.
Thanks for coming on today. Now, look, this quarter on the Brain Changers, we've been talking all about overcoming inner blocks. It's also the theme for our beautiful members in our Mind Masters collective. And essentially, we're talking about the emotion fear, which is a big one for so many of us. And so far, we've covered topics like procrastination and perfectionism. And today, we're diving into the art of truly being seen. So overcoming fear and embracing confidence in front of the camera. And that is why I've invited the beautiful Grier on to join us today. And I want to tell you a little bit about Grier before we jump into it. So Grier, as I mentioned, is the creative force behind Bohemian Echo Creative. And she has over 30 years experience across beauty, hair, makeup, body painting, editorial, film, TV, wardrobe, you name it, but especially photography, which is why she's perfect for this topic. Grier's worked with so many global brands like Clarins, Universal Pictures, and this is what I love. She's actually collaborated with some really big names. You've met some pretty famous people, haven't you, Grier? Just some I know of: Michael Bublé, Janet Jackson, Taylor Swift, and one of my favorites, Hugh Jackman. But of course, beyond this very impressive resume, Grier's true magic lies in her ability to create a space where people feel safe, authentic, and truly seen. And that's why she's perfect for today. So Grier, welcome to the Brain Changers.
Woohoo, thank you.
It's great to have you here.
Nice to meet you.
So Grier, I want to let's start with fear. I mentioned that's the emotion that we're talking about this quarter. So many women say, and I'm sure you've heard this so many times, they say, I hate having my photo taken. So why do you think this is such a common struggle? And what do you say to someone who feels that way when you're the photographer?
Yeah, it's always tricky and it's touchy because initially you don't really know why people will feel that way, but I guess society has kind of put that out there. And especially with social media, it's probably made it a lot harder for people. There's all these expectations, and I think we've just got to come back to being authentically who we are. And that's where I sit in my sort of genius zone of helping women see themselves in photographs for who they are.
Okay, so how do you do that? How is it like, do you have a process or is it really just feeling into that particular moment? How do you help a woman see what you see? Because we all see things that, we've all got friends, family, they're like, oh, but you're so beautiful, or we love this about you. And yet we find it so hard to see those things in ourselves. So how do you do that when you're pointing a camera at them?
Yeah, great question, Beck, because I think one of the things that I love to do is I love to get to know my client first. So I'm not someone who will, you can't just book a session online and rock up at a studio on the day and all of a sudden we've met for the first time. I like to get to know who you are, your style, your personality, and that's how I work with you to help you feel comfortable, first of all, for stepping in front of the camera. So yeah, I feel it's really important. I say interview your photographer.
Yeah.
Make sure you feel comfortable with them. Yeah, just rocking up to do something. And I do a little bit of talent work now as well. And I feel that, when you do just rock up and you haven't met anyone before, it can be quite overwhelming and you just really don't know what to expect. So I take those elements away with my clients where I meet them first.
Yeah, beautiful. That's that thing we talk about a lot these days, connection. And, you and I know a lot about that. We're part of a very beautiful group of women. I think I've spoken about it on the podcast before, and we've all come together for whatever reason. We know the reason, but it's been strange how we've come together, isn't it? But there's that beautiful connection that we all have between us, whether we do the same thing, something different, whether we're from Adelaide, whether we're from overseas, but it's just that it's hard to even explain, isn't it? It's just that connection that we've built.
Yeah.
And I can see that what you're saying in terms of you build that with your clients before they're actually in front of the camera, perhaps before they're feeling that vulnerability.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a sort of thing where we plan. So we plan
Yeah.
for our sessions. So there's that. It's like a dress rehearsal. It's like a visualization. And I listened to you speak the other day where you were speaking about visualization and how that creates success. And in a photo shoot, I find that that's a really important part, is to go through and plan the session so people feel like they've got the things that they need with them, rather than looking and going, oh, I forgot this and I forgot that and I should have thought this. It just helps bring everything back and we can just focus on doing what we want to do in the photo session if we've done all the pre-work.
That's a really interesting point there, that visualization. You're right. I talk about this a lot. I give an example of a group of athletes who they visualized the exact movements that they were going to go through and the results that they intended to achieve. And the ones who visualized the most and they actually trained the least, they were the ones who won the most medals. So it goes to show that visualization is a big part of achieving our goals. So when you talk about like visualizing what it's like, are you suggesting that perhaps before a photo shoot, we're like practicing our smile or our pose or something in front of the mirror, which, is super uncomfortable. I like to think of myself as a confident person, but I don't like doing things like that. But is that what you're suggesting, or is there more to it?
That can certainly push people out of your comfort zone, practicing that, but it's not a bad thing to do. I don't go suggesting that to everybody, but to be able to work out which side you prefer being photographed, to practice, which way you like your hair moved to the side or anything like that. That you can go back to those and you go, oh, actually, I remember I like it like this. So I might just, I might move it to the side. I like it this side rather than that side. Or, so those little things can help you through the process. If you look in the mirror and work out which way you like to do things, or which angle you like to pose on. I'm not a posing photographer as such. I like people to step into their natural zone, and then I will move you if I feel necessary, because I feel that's way more authentic.
Yeah.
And sometimes, a little bit of extra posing is required, but it's about feeling comfortable, because if you feel uncomfortable, you're going to look uncomfortable. So
yeah, exactly.
But visualization is, and you go back to the athletes, it is so important. I've been there in that space where I visualized, when I was doing triathlons, I really visualized my big race, same thing. And I did PBs and everything. So visualization is really powerful.
Wow.
Really powerful.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I remember what you were talking about before, because full disclosure here, Grier did my last photo shoot. So if you have a look at our website and even the photo that we have for our podcast cover, that is photographed by Grier. And it was such a beautiful experience with me and my mum. And of course, we know each other. We knew each other before, which was really lovely. And it helped, I guess, break the ice a bit. But it was still, daunting rocking up and, you've got a camera in your face and you're doing things. But I remember, I think I told you, I'm like, I don't like the right-hand side of my face being photographed. I prefer the left-hand side of my face being photographed. So we had to move things around. And my favorite shots that I got from that photo shoot are the natural ones, like the ones where I'm laughing or the ones where I'm pulling this face that I always pull apparently, but it's me, right? So that's what I loved about it. You're right. It wasn't posed.
Mm.
It was just I was doing my thing. I might have been having a conversation, I think you were telling some jokes and I laughed and you captured those ones. So, or maybe we got mum to try and tell some jokes. They're
Yeah,
probably pretty
me
bad.
telling jokes is not good. I'm not a funny person, but that usually creates a laugh in
Yeah,
me. So yeah.
exactly. Okay. So you work with a lot of women who are self-conscious in front of the camera. So what are some of the biggest mental blocks you find or negative self-talk patterns that you've noticed come up?
Yeah, a lot of women will put off having photos done. And it's very, very common to hear, I'll do that when I've lost some weight.
Mm.
Or, I don't, I haven't had photos done for years, but, I should have them done, but I don't want to step in front of the camera. I don't like photos of myself, or I don't like my smile, or, if I did have my photos done, could you retouch and change this and remove that? And it's something as a makeup artist as well, that I've heard so much
Mm.
of, and especially in the last couple of years, it's actually saddened me to think that people, especially as we age, are not accepting of our exterior, because we've got such beautiful stories to tell, whether it's of hardship and us, but we're still here to tell them.
Yeah.
And I think that, we should celebrate that, our authenticness and our authentic look, for who we are. And I think that that's really important. It's a story it's a narrative that I'm wanting to help change with women, to see their authentic self and see if they can see it through my lens, then they're seeing it from a different perspective. And
Yeah.
It's been quite healing for a lot of women, especially the project that I've recently done, so which we might talk about later. But
Yeah.
the healing process of photography is a space that I'm very much moving into.
I love that. It's because I think so many of us think about photography like as in brand photography or headshots is just something that you go and have done that you have to have on your LinkedIn profile or on your website or something like that. But you take that to a whole other level. I know you've got a couple of projects. Like I said, I will ask you about those because they're fascinating. And a lot of those are about being seen and helping with that healing process. But even in a brand shoot, helping someone see the best side of them, whether that be through literally just through the photos or how they have their hair and makeup done or the clothes that they wear, making sure that we're wearing clothes that make us feel good. It's all part of that process, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And feeling confident to be able to step in front of the camera. So making those things happen prior to the shoot. So, and it's about wearing outfits that you feel confident and comfortable in. Not wearing something that you feel you should wear because someone's told you. If you don't feel comfortable and confident in it, you're not going to feel that way when you're in front of the camera either. So having a personal stylist work with you can help with those things. And it doesn't have to be going out and doing a big shop. One of the shoots that I offer is with a personal stylist, and it's about working with your existing wardrobe. So it's not about going out and buying lots of additional clothing, because that's another excuse that people do use, is I don't have the clothes to wear. Well, we can sort that out. That's where I work with women to be able to go through that and look at different options, and we do a variety of different things. And remember, it's for the camera. It's not, it's like taking it into this little box
Yeah.
and making it work for that space,
Yes. Yeah.
Having your hair and makeup done, and whether you have that done professionally or you learn how to do it yourself, There's a couple of little tips and tricks that you can do to be able to feel a little bit more confident stepping in front of the camera. And when you have it done professionally, if it's for a branding shoot or a personal, empowerment shoot, still feeling like yourself, a natural makeup, but there's those little things that a professional makeup artist will do, especially if there's studio lighting that can enhance your features that you love the most, or enhance your finer features. And there's highlight and shade and all those things that can work with that to just polish the image a little bit more. And making sure that your eyeliner's even, or your lip line's even, or your eyebrows are done. Those little things just help frame the face, and they can be noticeable in images. So when you've got someone who knows what they're doing, it just polishes it, makes you feel. And it's spoiling yourself at the same time.
Exactly. I was just going to say, this is a form of self-care as well, right? Again, whether it's a brand shoot or whether it's some of the other like the personal empowerment that you were talking about, those shoots that you do, it's giving yourself that a little bit of love, that I am worth this, I am valued. We don't have to do it for anyone else. It's about doing it for ourselves, and why not spoil ourselves? So that kind of, it leads well into a question I want to ask you, because I mentioned that we've done a couple of episodes this year already on procrastination and perfectionism, and they often go hand in hand, right? So I'm interested to know, do you see these show up with your clients when you mentioned some people put off booking a shoot because they don't have the right clothes, or they haven't lost the weight yet, or something like that, or they're not ready. So how do you help potential clients, or just women in general, move past this?
I talk to them about the fact that, on a professional level for personal branding, people want to see who they're going to be working with. If you've got photos that are 4 years old and you're got a completely different look, hair, body shape, any of those things, you're not going to look the same. So it's about capturing the moment. It's about celebrating and capturing the now. You can always do another photo down the track. But if your photos are a couple of years old, it's about refreshing, and it doesn't have to be a big shoot. You don't have to spend lots and lots to do it. Just update for your personal brand, and do that for yourself and for your business. On a personal level, doing photos every couple of years to celebrate life is really important for the legacy that you can leave behind. So you are doing it do it for yourself, to see and track, who you are over these years, but do it for your family and for your friends, for, looking back now. And once again, this is one of the reasons behind my Flock project is, leaving that legacy of actually celebrating the human that we've become by the time we hit 50, and celebrating that, and being able to look at an image and, for my daughter, let's say, to go, oh my God, that was mum when she was, how cool is it that she did this, or she, and it's not about being cool. It's about leaving that legacy behind to show that this is the human that you were, and you were celebrating that. And that's what I love about imagery. Over the years, the last 16 months, I've been to quite a number of funerals of my own family. And one of the beautiful things that my family was very good at was documenting. My mum takes lots of photos. My pa, when he was in the Navy, he was one of the only people, probably the only one that had a camera at the time. There's photos of him at 16 when he went into the Navy underage.
Wow.
Photos of him, and watching his years at the funeral and looking at them. And it was actually, I kind of went, oh my gosh, that looks like my son. I had never seen that. But to see that growth, if we don't have photos of ourselves, our future generations are never going to know what we look like.
Yeah.
So have that confidence for celebrating who you are.
I 100% agree with you. I've always loved photos. I was an amateur photographer when I was younger. I loved documenting things like that. I totally get the love of photography, and I think that's as much as I love digital now, I think that's something that we miss, isn't it? That we don't get the photos printed now so much and then sit there and look at them and put them in albums and show our friends and our family when they come over. We've got gazillions of photos on our phone, and yet we probably don't even know what's there. So,
Yeah, and I'm a big advocate for that, and that's one of the things within my personal, like my empowerment projects, is that I actually do print. I
yeah,
actually do print the photos that are taken. Yes, you get the digital files to be able to have on your phone, because that's always nice to be able to share them wherever you are. But when you're actually holding a tangible item, you're not flicking.
yeah,
It definitely makes a big difference to be able to see the person in the photo. You can hold it, you can feel the emotion that's in that image at the time.
yeah.
And yeah, it's more of a connection piece. And that's why, through my project, it's educating my clients that having that item, and it can just be a little intimate print, it doesn't have to be a big framed print.
Mm,
Just having that to be able to hold
mm,
is a really beautiful thing.
yeah.
So yeah, I do print them in my personal work. Today's, we need digital files
Mhm.
for our work, because that's where, that's how we promote ourselves. But personal stuff, it's at least work, at least worth printing one image from the day that you went out, with the
Yeah,
family. Print one, put on the fridge, or, it's just,
absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And I think perhaps that also helps build that confidence, maybe if you're seeing it more regularly. And, when we talk about confidence, I think a lot of people feel that confidence comes after they're feeling good about themselves, after they've got the perfect outfit or after they've rehearsed something or after they've lost the weight, for example. But it often, well, not often, it works the other way around, right? Confidence comes before the thing. So have you noticed about how taking photos can actually build someone's confidence?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been doing this for a while now, but getting feedback from clients. One client said to me after a session, she said, "Oh my God, Grier," she said, "you're better than my therapist." Like,
That's great. I hope you got that
I
in
know,
writing.
I know. So it was just so lovely to hear, because how she felt about herself after seeing the photos, just going, "Oh gosh, I didn't think that I could look like that. Look, I hadn't changed her.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything, every part of her was still her. Very a light natural makeup, just a
Mhm.
little bit of hair done, but yeah, it changed how she viewed herself. Same up here, you'll see these two ladies behind me.
Yeah.
One woman very happy to get her kid off
Yeah.
to take the photo. The other one, I put the opportunity forward, and to be able to do that's part of my feathered concept. And it was like, oh no, I don't think I could do that. And eventually she had to think about it, and we did the shoot. And afterwards she sent me a text message and she said, Grier, you've just changed my life. The way
Oh,
I look at myself now is so different. And yet the process that we go through, and I know for myself, after having a divorce and having babies and sort of going through that, was like that initial feeling, which I know a lot of women get when they go through that, is, oh, who's going to want me? I've got saggy belly, and I haven't got any boobs, and all of those sorts of things.
yeah.
You want to change yourself, and I quickly realized that's not what I want to do. But to go through a process like this, where you can see your body from a different view, um,
Mm,
is really, really powerful.
mm.
And like I said, it's been quite healing for a lot of women. And one woman recently from the flock shoot said to me, it's the best investment she's made in herself. She said, I never thought I could look beautiful, and I felt beautiful in the photos that Grier took of me. And so it's extremely powerful when you get feedback like that.
Yeah.
And for some, it's the end of that journey, and they're able to put that behind them and go, okay, I can wear my bathers around. This is great.
Yeah.
This is acceptance. This is love for me.
Yes.
Here I go. I'm on my next stage of my journey now. So
Yeah,
it's just super powerful.
it is. Grier, have you got a tip on for these beautiful women listening how you can start to build your confidence before you even step in front of the camera? Or even if it's not about having a professional photo shoot, just building that confidence in yourself, that self-love that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, sure. So I started doing my own self-portraits, and I did them for my personal branding to start with, but I did them for my flock project. And when I saw the self-portrait of myself, I looked at it and went, oh my gosh, I can't wait to share this with other women. So I started to think about how I could help women do that. I think the thing is to start that process, give yourself some space and some time, a room, when no one else is around. Set your camera up on whether it's your phone or, an SLR camera on a timer. Set it up on a tripod or somewhere that's, you've got some distance, and just practice self-portraits, practice poses, have some fun. I put mine on a timer, and it'll take 5 shots. So I run back I press the timer, I run back in front of the camera, and I might do different poses.
Yeah.
And then I'll look at them and go, oh, that didn't work. Oh, that's good. I'm going to do that again. Oh, my top is halfway over here. I'll just fix that.
Yeah.
And I actually have fun with it. And I might spend half an hour, and I might do that. I mean, I use them for my work now, but the process of actually doing those gave me the confidence of stepping in front of the camera. But it's just taking that step, because you're worth it.
Before I ask you about those two projects that you've talked about, Feathered and Flock, because I want everyone to know about them because they are beautiful. But you're basically talking about mindset there, and of course, mindset it plays a huge role in how we see ourselves. So I'm just wondering if you can share with us what some simple mindset shifts are that people or that can help people feel more comfortable and natural in front of the camera.
Yeah, look, I mean, I do ask people to bring their own props and things. That's not a mindset thing, but that also helps people feel at home, because when you feel comfortable, having your own props now, whether that's your own chair or stool or whatever, to have the photos done, that does help, because you feel like you've got hold of something. So you don't feel like it's just you in front of the camera. You've got something that you can hold or sit on that's your own.
Yeah.
I always talk to women about when they'll tell me something that they don't like about themselves. That's what makes them uniquely them. Telling yourself that I'm worthy. I'm doing this for me. I love who I am. I love who I am right now. This is me. I'm going to put myself out.
What we're trying to do here also is take that fear out of the process. Like, of course, we're talking about having your photo taken today, but you can copy and paste this into other areas of your life. We're talking about fear, the emotion of fear in general. I know there will be some women and potentially men as well listening to this who either need to have their photo taken or want to, but are not quite ready, or perhaps it's even just happy snaps. I know there are women out there, again, men as well, but there's so many women out there who you even just pick up your phone to take a photo and they're like, oh, no, I don't want to be in the photo. I don't like my smile. And then, they end up doing this really weird forced smile. And of course I don't like it because it looks forced. So I think for those people listening today, it's kind of breaking it down a little bit, helping them understand or see another way to look at it. Like you said, you're telling a story. This is part of your legacy.
Because they're great comparisons. Like, I mean, I did a challenge quite a few years ago where I had to take a photo of myself every day over 75 days. But seeing the progress, those progress photos, because it's like, oh, I really have to take a photo, in my underwear today.
Yeah.
Keep it to myself.
Yeah.
But when I finished, I actually shared that photo. I shared the first photo and I shared the last photo. And it's just to be able to see that progress. So even if you take a photo for yourself, each month or whatever, to see the changes of who we are. I mean, we age, we change. And I think, or if you when you go through different things that you do in your life, there's change. One of the big projects I did years ago was I worked with women with breast cancer, and I created a beautiful calendar, and I body painted each woman. I did the hair, I did their makeup, I photographed it and produced this beautiful calendar. And most of the women I photographed their scars. I paint on their scars, and then I photographed it, and it was just still a highlight to this day of my career, being a part of that. And it raised them $40,000. But
wow,
the process and the beauty of that, and the connection that I had with the women that I didn't know to start with, but I built these beautiful friendships with, and these images were used. It was just incredible. So to have that documented, and some of the initial lady that came to me to do it, she wanted to have a photo and some body painting done before she had her breast reconstruction. And then she went off to all of her dragon boat ladies and said, I think we should do a calendar. So I photographed 12 of them and did that. And it was incredible. So that documentation and celebration of the journey that you've been through, whether it's breast cancer, pregnancy, you know, an illness, or a fitness challenge, or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be any of those. It can just be now, today.
And I love that way of turning what can potentially, and quite often is a negative experience in our life, you know, because we're all about reframing. It's not just about positive thinking and being happy and sunshiny all the time, but it is about reframing, because there is a lesson and there is something positive to come out of everything. We don't necessarily see it there and then. Sometimes it can take years to see that. But I love that idea of turning a not so great experience in our life into something beautiful.
And it's beautiful. And for me, it's such an honor to be able to be in that space with women.
You're with people at their most vulnerable often, aren't you? So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about these projects we've been talking about. You pointed to, for those watching the video of this, you pointed to a photo behind you. I think that's part of your Feathered project, and I'd love to hear just a little bit about that. And then I would love for you to tell our listeners about your Flock 50 project as well.
Feathered is about stripping away the bark of today's society. It's about stepping into yourself and celebrating who you are and the journey that you've been on, to whatever age you are. There's no age limit with Feathered. But it is photographing the naked female form in the Australian rugged land and bringing the contrast of our form and that landscape together. And it's called Feathered because I used feathers in the initial one, where I had big Indian headdresses, and I made staffs and that kind of thing to just bring it in. I had a vision of an Indian headdress on a naked woman, and the cracked earth that I found was incredible. And when it had the effect on my girlfriend, who I decided that more women needed to experience something like this, where it's super empowering. And it's not for everyone, but it is super empowering, stripping your gear off in nature. It's not about the nudity as such. It's about the empowerment that you get from stepping into that space. It's about creating a piece of artwork that celebrates your life. Flock 50 was a project that I started last year because I was turning 50, and during a workshop I heard that women 50 plus are the least photographed demographic in the world. Wow. And I decided that I wasn't going to stand for that.
Good for you.
I decided that I was turning 50, and what better way to do that than to celebrate 50 years with 50 other women that were also in their 50s. So it was that 10-year age bracket from 50 to 60. And I created a beautiful coffee table and an exhibition, along with many, many new friends and memories, creating some very, very beautiful imagery for people's personal stories. So it very much was a personal project. Each woman got a photo shoot with their hair and makeup done. You know, for some, it was a big challenge and a lot of anxiety coming into having a photo done. And a few women said, I almost didn't come, but I made myself, because I know how important it is for me to be able to grow. And, you know, there's that element of not wanting to let me down and not wanting to let the other 49 women down, but at the same time they spoke to themselves of they were worthy for this. I really, really want to do this. I really want to do this and be a part of this. If I don't do it now, when am I going to do it?
Yeah.
And the courage, they stepped through that fear into courage. And once they were there and they're experiencing it, they're like, oh, this isn't that bad.
Yeah. The anticipation, isn't it? The anticipation is worse than the actual doing the whatever we're anticipating.
And just remembering that, especially in a project like that, and I try to make shoot days, so it's more up to about 4 women being photographed at the time. We've got the makeup artist, and usually there's someone else assisting as well. That experience, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone in that. And it's so beautiful in that project, seeing other women support other women. And I saw that a couple of times where 2 women had rocked up and they both were so anxious. They had to catch an Uber. They couldn't drive.
Wow.
But they got there, and one woman settled the other woman's nerves and just said, you'll be okay. I was in your space about an hour and a half ago.
Yep.
And supported them through that process. And just a beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to do. And then hearing their story after, just saying, it wasn't that bad. I felt so comfortable. I'm so glad I did this. Every woman should try it. It is taking that step. It's, what have you really got to lose? It's an experience. The worst thing that can happen is you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
The best thing that can happen is it's the best thing you've ever done.
Exactly. And it's life-changing, like one of those women said to you.
Yeah.
And I think I want to just ask you here, because I think this comes up a lot. Did all these women have to have nude photos? Are they naked?
No, Flock is not about being naked.
Yes. I wanted to clarify that.
Like, oh, I couldn't. I'm not taking my gear off. It's like, no, that's not. So, none of my photo shoots have to be naked.
No.
All right. It's not. I am known for that.
But that's why I wanted to clarify it, because I'm going to ask you how women can be involved in Flock 50 again this year, and I want to be very clear about that, because I know some of the women that were in Flock last year. So I heard some of the conversations, and I know that some women were like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want to get my kid off. So I want to be really clear that that's not what it's about at all. Maybe you can give us 1 or 2 examples of what women did to be photographed last year or even this year.
Yeah, absolutely, Beck. So remembering this photo shoot is about you. And I do ask the question, how far can I push you? What are your boundaries? But it depends on the feeling that you want to feel when you're having these photos taken.
Yeah.
And I ask that question, do you want to feel, what's the feeling, what's the outcome that you want from these photos? Some will be, I want to feel sexy. Some will be, I want to feel sensual. Others will be, I want to see that I'm a wise woman in my 50s. Some are, magical. So it depends on your feeling. It depends on the image that you're wanting to create. So some women wore a beautiful gown, and were covered from wrist to ankle. Others got naked in the bath. You can't see anything anyway because there's bubbles all over it. Because it's not the nudity part it's the image. It's all about the photo.
Photo and the feeling, right? As you said, how you feel in that photo. Like, the women get to choose what it is that they do. They could be standing in front of their favorite car. They could be at the beach going for a walk. I think one lady last year, because I went to the exhibition and it was beautiful, one woman was photographed in the state library, I think. So there's so many different options, and you're running this project again this year. Who's eligible and how can women get involved in this?
Flock 50 edition 2 is for women 50 plus. So this edition is including women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Wow.
If you want to, it's about celebrating women as we last year, because it was in 50s only, I had a lot of women in their 60s and 70s say, oh my gosh, can you please do this for women that are older than in their 50s? I would love to be a part of that. I have multiple locations throughout South Australia. I am also going to New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland to photograph this. Now, all of this is happening pretty quick, so jump on board pretty quick if you're interested, because this edition does have a deadline. It's not an ongoing rolling event.
There is still time to get on board with this. And because that's one of the things I wanted to ask you, is this just Adelaide based? Because of course we're in Adelaide, but no, you're going to New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland. So there's plenty of opportunities to jump on board, and we'll make sure that all of your details are in the show notes so that women can find you. Yeah. What a cool project. I want to ask you one last thing before we wind this up, Grier. Going back to how we can feel confident in photos, what's your best tip for someone, male or female, who wants to feel confident in photos, whether it's a professional look, a selfie, a Zoom call even? What's your top tip?
I would say to, first of all, work out your angle that especially for selfie, work out the angle. Don't shoot from below. So, work out the angle that you like being photographed in, but stand tall, shoulders back, and own it. Yeah. Be proud of who you are. And when you can stand tall, everything changes. If you're slumped over, it looks like you don't care. So when you're standing nice and tall and proud, twist your torso a little bit, give a little bit of angle, and that's probably the first step.
Yeah.
Really. Standing tall, be proud, and just own it.
Yeah. I love that. And interview your photographer. Absolutely, find the right one, and here she is right here.
Well, you are vulnerable in front of the camera, and if you feel awkward with the person that's going to be photographing you, or you feel that it just doesn't feel right, your photos aren't going to come out the way you want them to.
Yeah.
So, whether that's professional or private, I think it's really important.
Some great tips there, and we're going to put all of your information in the show notes. So if you do want to get in touch with Grier, if you're looking for a brand photo shoot, if it's professional, if you want to get your kid off with feathered, or if you are a woman 50 plus and you are looking to help make yourself feel a little special, empowered, maybe even break through some of those fears, or simply you want to document this to leave as your legacy, then this is definitely the project for you. So thank you so much for coming on the Brain Changers today, Grier. It's been wonderful having this conversation with you. And ladies, get out there, be seen, overcome the fear, embrace the confidence in front of the camera. And until next time, remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Brain Changers. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation today. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. Our mission is to reach as many people as possible to help them revolutionize the way they think so they can change their brain and create profound transformation. Please help us broaden our reach by sharing this episode with someone you know will benefit. And remember to tag us on socials at Moonbeam Monday and leave a review. And remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. We'll catch you next time for another episode of The Brain Changers.